to finish covering Stranger Things after the last theory. And of course, a warning. This video is going to make absolutely no sense if you haven't seen part 1. You need to watch it if you want to watch this one. Now, as promised last time, I'm going to cover a bunch of littler questions that the series had to offer. These include, is Martin still alive? Why does Elle bleed when she uses telekinesis? And, well, what is her telekinesis? What is this massive eggshell in the parallel world from? Is Hopper working with the agency now? If so, why? What is happening inside of the monster as Elle was destroying it? Just what is that glowing white energy stuff? And finally, what is the significance of the name 11? I guarantee there is some. Let's hop into it now. If Martin is alive or dead is something that we'll definitely be made aware of in Season 2. I have faith that he's alive, but that he is badly injured, but it's entirely impossible to tell until Season 2. His actor will hopefully be returning. Elle bleeds during her usage of telekinesis because, well, she's using her brain. That should be obvious. It's taking its toll on her brain, using up her energy. You see all these movies where these people just casually use telekinesis, but this is simply an accurate representation. The bleeding is almost like the natural control mechanism to her supernatural powers. If she becomes too dangerous and overuses her powers, her brain will bleed out. And as I said, it was likely the MK Ultra of her mother that granted her these powers. But notice something here. The Beast uses telekinesis to slide open Will's door lock, the exact same powers used by Elle. My thoughts? The powers they share aren't even telekinetic. They're just fifth-dimensional powers that we can't comprehend in any other way. Both of these characters have fifth-dimensional powers. They just appear to us like telekinesis. The sheer fact that she can open a portal proves that it has to be fifth-dimensional powers. It proves it. The eggshell is one of two things. It is either the egg that hatched the main beast, or is, more terrifyingly, the egg that hatched another one. One that hasn't been seen yet, and could be far more dangerous, and we will likely know in Season 2. I'm telling you, hashtag Stranger Things just got even stranger somehow. But we do know that the beast was feeding off of this egg, so something else is going on. Hopper is indeed working with the DOE because, in my opinion, I believe that he wants to relive his glory days as a cop. He constantly shows the desire to do so, and the DOE is perfect for him, especially since he's one of the only two people ever who have successfully infiltrated and exited the parallel world. He's hiding 11 from them, which will probably be a bit of a plot point in Season 2. Also, I believe he is inclined to work with them so that he can keep them away from Elle. The white glow emanating from the innards of the beast is either just what Elle is doing to it, blowing it up from the inside, or it is releasing all of the energy it's stolen from the lives of everybody else. I mean, when it dies, Will barely manages to survive. It dies, Will survives. Its lost life force barely saved Will in time, but the rest were far too late. Barb is long gone. The number 11's significance is very powerful. It's extremely symbolic of so many things. It has the qualities of intuition, like Elle. Patience, sort of like Elle. Honesty, like one of the main points in the series. What with their promises and whatnot. Sensitivity, absolutely. She's like hypersensitive due to her powers. And she's sensitive because of the PTSD induced by the DOE. Spirituality? Yeah. As my previous theory states, she travels to the fourth dimension mentally, has powers. Yeah, spirituality is not a problem. In the world of symbolism, if something or someone is 11, others will turn to them for teaching and enlightenment. Yeah. The boys and adults constantly turn to her, and those who are enlightened by 11 exit the enlightenment with an extremely uplifted feeling. This whole town has been uplifted by her. Numerologically, 11 represents the master number, exceeding the perfection of 10, but it also represents sin and peril. L, we've cracked the symbolism of your name. Finally, I think that this snow at the end of episode 8, just floating around, is oddly reminiscent of the particles floating around the parallel world's toxic environment. It's just floating snow chunks, not even really falling. White, cold, dark, damp. It's rather reminiscent to me. This is extremely foreboding of perhaps that this world is destined to be overrun by the monsters. Same goes for Will's little vision after coughing up what I believe to be the start of an epidemic. Come on, the boy flushed a creature looking like a plant and striving for energy like a plant, down a sink, into a place where flora flourishes. Seems pretty fishy to me. Get it? fish? Sewer? Ugh. Stranger Things is awfully reminiscent of Stephen King as well. Episodes are literally labeled in chapters for one. Also, The Langoliers, a Stephen King book and film, although somewhat laughable at parts, see The Nostalgia Critic, has some significant similarities to Stranger Things, a sort of parallel universe, dimensional traveling, and monsters that have very similar facial shapes, and possibly functionalities, to that of the monster in Stranger Things. But Stranger Things is also extremely similar to the Tommyknockers. It features aliens, people disappearing in the town, aliens using people for their tasks, etc. Terry Ives' sister in episode 6 of Stranger Things discusses how the whole supernatural aspect of the MKUltra is a lot like Stephen King. This whole series just radiates with Stephen King, and maybe we'll be able to use his stories to solve various aspects of the show in the second season. Watch, I bet season 2 will just radiate with even more references. This series is also quite reminiscent of other films like Alien. Supernatural being planting its successors inside of humans? Check. Hold on. Do you know when Jonathan and Nancy lit the beast on fire? And you know when it teleported, right? Well, I'm thinking that all the fire did was provide it more energy. Notice how there is always 4 kids in their little group. Will leaves right as Elle gets there, and Elle leaves right as Will comes back, and this leads right back to why I think Elle isn't coming back. 4 symbolizes stability and duality, and I think something would happen that the stability of sorts would break had she returned and both she and Will came in contact. I mean, Elle somehow knew about Will and Barbara being in the Upside Down, so something's up with those two. And what I'll do now is quickly summarize Martin Brenner's plan again, because I feel like it's a tad bit complex. Okay, here you go. Martin sends Elle into the 4th dimension. She sees a monster who is attracted to her extremely powerful amount of energy. She runs out. Martin sends her back in to embrace her power and destroy the monster. But he didn't know that the monster was prepared. It causes Elle to scream open the portal. The monster can now get through and create more portals from this. As Hopper says, Martin bargained too much and went too far with it. And one final question I don't think many have considered answering. Whose skull is this in the monster's little energy-sucking thing? Well, this should be obvious. It is the scientists from the very beginning of the first episode. The facial structure, timing, and reasoning all fit perfectly for it to be him. I mean, I suppose it could also be the man they sent into the portal, or the few others taken by the beast, but I'd personally say the scientist. I believe that his harvested life energy was the amount required for this beast to be able to open more portals, and be able to traverse areas further outside of the DOE's environs. Like Nancy and Jonathan say, the beast is limited to certain areas, but as it gets more and more energy, it moves further and further out into the town, eventually to as far out as the school. And so, I actually believe that the monster's original plan was to open so many portals that our world would practically merge with its, giving it all of the needed energy to sustain its species. More and more energy given to it means more and more space to branch out into our world, and it does. Once it can get through the original portal, it will keep going and creating more. When Elle first found it via the 4th dimensional mental trip, it was barely eating its egg. As it was the only thing it could eat in its world, boom. Total world domination. A complete merging of the 5th dimension. Who knows what that would cause? What kind of duality that would screw up? Elle is the only one able to defeat a monster with that much energy inside of it. She kills it with even more energy, and her scream sends her, for the first real time, into the decaying, toxic environment of the Upside Down. And as I've established countless times now, she is extremely full of energy. I mean, remember, the reason Brenner says the beast was calling to her is because it was. It wanted energy, and the stupid man wanted her to go back to it. Finally, and I mean finally, this time I will re-explain the dimensions with better visuals. Our world, Upside Down world. 11 goes to the 4th dimension in her mind. It's like a path between the worlds, and scientifically, she'd be able to do this if she does have these fifth-dimensional supernatural powers. She can traverse both of these three-dimensional worlds by seeing the fourth dimension, by being in the fifth one. We could never go there physically, but her telepathic mentality can, and Brenner knows this. In the fourth dimension, due to her limitations of not actually physically being there, she's limited to the present, but can see everything in both of these parallel universes. But do you know what? Remember way earlier in this grand theory, way back in part 1, when I said that the Upside Down is locked to the present like our world? I might want to retract that and propose this. What if this world is not a completely different universe, but a different time of our own? A time after Will's parasite and the portals destroyed our world. It's like an infinite loop, with the last beast remaining, trying to get to the past to harvest more energy. We see that everything in the Upside Down has decayed, so it was something. But that's just mostly an unsupported mini-theory I just suddenly thought of. So this was just me kind of clearing up the final questions I thought I had. I will certainly be returning to Stranger Things. It is almost a given that I do so. But until next time, I'm the Theorizer. Thankfully, this video has established everything. Now, we can get some real work done. Check out my second channel where I do really bad but kind of funny gameplays. Also, check out the series that I'm making. It's just a little video series full of secrets you can try to crack. Go ahead and try it. If you figure it out, I'll shout out your channel in the reveal video I'd make in the future. Twitter, follow it.